Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to wherever it is in the world you are streaming here in the Bleacher Report app. It's your boy, Rob Perez, Worldwide Wob, with you for a special edition of this isn't NBA Daily. I'm usually here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's the NBA Draft Lottery. Let's get it, people. I am here in a hotel room. The trials and tribulations of what I had to go through to bring you this stream today. You can see I'm in an older hotel. I had to drive to the middle of the desert because my apartment lost internet, and the NBA draft lottery, very similar to a plane, is going to take off with or without you. Had to get down to the hotel, had to connect to the internet so we can all enjoy this together. And it's one of my favorite events on the NBA calendar. I have spent many years, as many of you know me as a New York Knicks fan, I would freeze an envelope, for good luck, and I would put it in the freezer and take it out right before the draft. And the longer that it's in the freezer, everyone's got their superstitions, and they're all going to be needed tonight because this is pure luck. Teams have spent the better part of, let's say, 5 to 6 months with the intention of this big event in the draft lottery. And this is one of those special ones because there's a true prize in Cooper Flag. Not a true prize, more appropriate, a guaranteed prize. Same way that we got hype up for Victor Wembanyama a couple seasons ago. With all due respect to Zachary Risachet and Alex Sarr, it just didn't have the same aura, steam, energy, whatever you want to call it, the hype that this one does because of Cooper Flag. A lot of teams have recognized that, and whether it's the Utah Jazz or the New Orleans Pelicans or even the Philadelphia 76ers made a conscious decision to punt at some point in the season to position themselves to try and retain their draft pick. Now, if you see my eyes shift on the screen, people, it's because this is live and because I'm also reading the chat. And this is going to be a crowded one. I know that everyone's coming in here wanting to know what's the big reveal. We're going to put all of the picks on. Well, we are at the mercy of technology, as I started off today's program by having to come down to the hotel because we've had some internet issues in the area, but we're connected to a different one. We're going to hope that it works now. The good news is that we haven't started the draft lottery yet, and we're going to be bringing that to you, God willing, that this connection is able to be retained. So, with all that said, what's up, people? Welcome back. I'm going to reintroduce myself for the crowd that stuck around here. Rob Perez, Worldwide Wob. The draft lottery tonight. Let's talk about the things to know for this one. All right, so let's put that graphic up on the screen. We're going to play a little bit of catch up here. You guys haven't missed anything. What to know going into this? If Philadelphia, this is the big one, if the Philadelphia 76ers, if they fall outside of the top six, that pick will go to the NBA mob boss in Sam Presti in the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is why Philadelphia had Tyrese Maxey on the bench for the majority of the end of the regular season. They didn't bring their starters back. They told Paul George, you know what? Go get right. Go get your knee right. Come back for next year because we have incentive. We have incentive to lose games. And that is because we want to remain in the top six so that we get to keep our pick. Daryl Morey is no dummy. So, with that said, if Philadelphia keeps their pick, Oklahoma City's pick is 2026 top four protected. The Sacramento Kings are also going to be main characters in this one as well. So, by them making the play-in tournament and finishing with that record, they unfortunately fell into 13th place in the standings. And because their pick is top 12 protected, you guys do the math on that they're going to need to finish in the top four or to get that top first overall pick to likely retain their pick today. 3.8% for the Sacramento Kings to finish in the top four, 0.8% to get the number one overall pick. 40-42 was their final record, falling one game behind the Chicago Bulls, which may be the difference here in them keeping their pick 1 through 12 protected or potentially losing it to the Atlanta Hawks. And the Atlanta Hawks are also one of our characters to keep an eye on because their pick is headed to the San Antonio Spurs, who are going to have multiple pulls on the slot machine. All right. They get two opportunities with their own pick and then the Atlanta Hawks pick, which I believe came as a part of that DeJounte Murray package. But perhaps there was a separate transaction there. But it's 3.4% in the top four, and it's 0.7% with the number one overall pick. But San Antonio's pick that they own, 26.3%, top four, 6.0%, number one overall, but they have multiple opportunities since they hold they got ping pong balls coming in from all levels. And what I was trying to say before I was rudely cut off by the technology internet gods is this is an interactive stream and I can see the chat. So if you guys have something of substance to say here, I'm more than happy to engage with it. But the catch is, it's got to be something to catch my eye, as it is going to require me. This is why when you do something live streaming like this, you come prepared with multiple devices. You come with multiple devices because when your internet goes down, now I have the opportunity to see you guys at least through one of these screens. So I can see that Hot Mic user says we need to Cooper. You want Cooper on the Hornets. No. Let's do this because we got 9 minutes. We got 9 minutes till they're going to start revealing the NBA draft lottery order here. Where do you guys want to see Cooper Flag go? Mike, these are going so quick. The league will give it to Flag to the Spurs would be spooky. Okay, let's talk about that one because that's my most intriguing landing spot for Cooper Flag here. If the San Antonio Spurs were to get him, are you proceeding with the next 10 years of Victor Wembanyama, Cooper Flag, both of whom are still under rookie control? Then they'll get their rookie max scale extensions, and then inevitably they'll get their big contract extension. But we're talking about 10 plus years of them being on the team with the Spurs having the inside track to retain their services, right? There are certain players out there that are Jonathan Kuminga, for example. If it doesn't work out and they don't come to terms, they're still restricted free agents. So let's start with the Spurs because they have De'Aaron Fox here, and they were able to acquire De'Aaron Fox without having to trade any of these names that you see on the screen. Steph Castle, Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, Keldon Johnson, they all remained on the team. How the hell did they pull that off, by the way? The result of which now is you could have De'Aaron Fox with Wemby, with Cooper Flag moving forward, or this is where you want to talk about get spooky. This is where we pivot the conversation to ASMR, by the way. That you take those pieces and you trade them for Giannis, Cooper Flag in the first overall pick. Plus, let's say you don't even have to trade Steph Castle. You trade Devin Vassell and some salary cap filler with Cooper Flag, and then you put out a lineup of De'Aaron Fox, Victor Wembanyama, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm just saying. It could happen. That is the spooky result that no one's going to talk about because Cooper Flag, you'd think, well, it's guaranteed that he's going to end up on he's going to end up on one of these teams and just stay with them. But San Antonio might be the exception. Might. They have shown us a history and set a precedent of being a team that never, ever liquidates its assets to try and win now and assemble a team of veterans. But is Giannis the perfect complement? Right? No, Mikey Boy in the chat says Spurs are a class act organization. Please stop. Do you not like my proposal? Do you not like my proposal because you think it's a bad trade, or do you think Giannis doesn't fit in with the Spurs? Or is Cooper Flag just someone that you can't trade no matter what? If you're going to yell at me, all I ask is that you provide reasoning in doing so. Otherwise, I'm just Luka Doncic got traded, people. There's no such thing as a bad trade proposal anymore. Anything can happen. We saw multiple head coaches get fired in the final week or 2 weeks of the regular season. This stuff never happens before. I'm a dirty boy. Stop telling me to oil up. I got enough problems here with my internet connections in the city that I'm at. The last thing I need is you guys jumping on my back without oil. This league should force Dallas to relinquish their pick. There's another interesting one, by the way. 1.8% chance that Nico Harrison's going to be able to pull this off. And if he gets Kyrie Irving back, you could have Kyrie, Cooper Flag, Derek Lively II, Anthony Davis. I mean, they would be back pretty quickly to forming that formidable front court that I think they originally had visions of, and maybe have an opportunity to run it back with championship aspirations. The NBA owes the Rockets a #1 pick for Wemby to the Spurs, says Biz in the chat. We're putting this on the screen. So we must be getting close here. I think we're a couple of minutes away. With that said, yeah, the Rockets are probably my second most interesting landing spot. The Sixers third, second for the Rockets, because that would all but eliminate their need to go out there and package a Jalen Green and a Jabari Smith. If they want to get into the Giannis Antetokounmpo sweepstakes for whatever reason, they have been nothing but adamant in preventing the narratives and outside influence of trying to convince the world that the Houston Rockets are going to take some of those young pieces and parlay them into Giannis Antetokounmpo. What I mean by that is Rafi Stone and Ime Udoka have always said, we're not trading Jalen Green. Stop asking. We're not trading any of our guys. We believe in our core. We know we fell a little short, but we believe that this team will blossom into a flower, and we're going to keep it all in-house. And we built this identity, all the above. You add Cooper Flag to that, a guy who might be able to close right away. They were missing that offensive punch. And then there's that $44 million Fred VanVleet team option, which is coming up here in the near future too. Well, just saying. Cooper Flag could be that guy potentially right away. And then the Houston Rockets have all these guys that are under contract for the next half decade. You know? I guess I just don't know who to trust anymore. I really don't. Not with these rumors, all the above. It's like, well, I'm sorry. I'm seeing Cooper Flag appear on my screen, and I almost lost my attention. But all right, I think we're getting ready here in the next couple of minutes. I promise that as soon as the reveal happens, we're going to be putting it on the screen in real time. So the ones that we're looking out for here down in the 13s, the 13 and 14. If we don't see the Sacramento Kings, that's going to be our very first major move, meaning someone was able to retain their pick in their protections, right? But if you see the Kings logo pop up in 13 and 14, that means that their pick is headed to Atlanta. I don't know if we're going to put the Atlanta pick onto the screen, depending on how they do these envelopes, but I'll help you out with the guidance there. Also, keep an eye out for the Philadelphia 76ers, top 6 protected. They're sitting at number 5. So if they get leaped by 2 teams, they could potentially fall down to 7. There is the Houston Rockets, who have Phoenix's pick. So that is a 3.8% chance of them getting the first overall. Top 4, 17.3%. If they end up getting that first pick and Phoenix traded away, this pick plus all of that went down for a first-round exit to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and then this complete letdown of a season in which they might have to trade. They might have to trade Devin Booker. They might have to trade Kevin Durant, and you lose your pick and Cooper Flag. Good luck explaining to that fan base the failures and the rebuild process from there. This has to be the Jazz first time ever to get the first pick. We need Coop so badly. And Utah spent the entire season setting themselves up for just that. Now, the good news is with finishing that last, with the worst record, I think the lowest that they can fall technically is fifth. And we've seen that in the past with the Detroit Pistons. Now, they were beneficiaries of getting Asar Thompson, but the Detroit Pistons are a good example of even if you lose every single game throughout the year, it doesn't guarantee you. That's the whole point of flattening these lottery odds. You see 14%, 14%, 14%, 12.5%. It used to be a lot more top heavy, but the NBA is trying its best to lower the incentive for these teams to just load manage and tank and do whatever the Jazz did that got there. They violated the code of conduct in regards to player participation policy is what I was looking for there. That one. There's so many damn little fine print rules in the NBA. So I'm a little distracted because I'm watching right now. I'm going to keep you guys up to date. I would just watch them place the envelopes onto the podium, and the drama is building as I think we're going to see Mark Tatum appear on the screen here in just a second. And it's time. Come on, y'all. I know a lot of fan bases have been anticipating this moment. Mark Tatum is headed to the podium. We are getting ready for the WrestleMania of the NBA offseason right here. Draft lottery. Who's going to win Cooper Flag? Let's get right to it. Here comes the first envelope. My guess, it's going to be the Spurs. Just my guess. Let's see. It's the Spurs. So this is the Atlanta pick, number 14, that is going to go to the San Antonio Spurs. That was part of the no protections on that one. Best case scenario for Hawks fans, by the way, because if they somehow got top four, you'd be pissed. The Atlanta Hawks are the number 13 pick. All right. The Sacramento Kings did not jump up in the lottery. They have just forfeited their pick after that play-in tournament exit 40-42 season. They have lost their lottery pick. The Chicago Bulls, who had the 12th best record in the league, are now number 12. We're trying to put these on the screen. I would hope maybe there's something up with the graphics here, but I'm gonna keep until we put it on the screen. You're gonna hear me verbalize it. The 11th pick is gonna be it's the Portland Trailblazers. Oh my God, that means Dallas moved up. That means Dallas moved up. Oh my God. Oh my God. The Houston Rockets are your 10th pick. So that means the Phoenix pick did not go into the top four. The Phoenix pick did not go into the top four. Wow. Next up is the Toronto Raptors. That means San Antonio is in the top four. We now have Dallas and San Antonio, if I'm not mistaken, our top four picks to be revealed a little bit later. That is correct. The Mavericks and Spurs are going to have top four picks. Number 8. So number 9 is the Toronto Raptors. Drafting number 8 is the Brooklyn Nets. Drafting number 7, the New Orleans Pelicans. Okay, this is kind of going in order, which means, wait a second. All right, is Philadelphia about to learn their fate? The Washington Wizards? Did Philly move up to? Philadelphia has moved up into the top four. Philadelphia retains their pick and moves into the top four. The Wizards have fallen all the way down to 6th. Oh my goodness. The Wizards, with their protected pick, the second worst record in the league, have fallen to number 6 in the draft lottery. The guaranteed top 4 picks are the Mavericks, the Spurs, the 76ers. Oh my God, the Utah Jazz are 5th. The Utah Jazz have fallen all the way to 5th. No way. Which means the Charlotte Hornets are going to fill the 4th slot. It's between the Hornets, the 76ers, the Spurs, and the Mavericks. 3 of those teams are about 3 of those 4 teams have a possibility of getting Cooper Flag. Daryl Morey's got his head. Oh my God, Daryl Morey's got his head in his hands. This is so tight. Oh my God. Do you all understand? These Philadelphia, despite the season that they had, I know that was a disappointment. Philadelphia has a chance of adding Cooper Flag or one of these top picks with Jared McCain last year, by the way. Jared McCain, who's going to win Rookie of the Year probably if it wasn't for the injury. Joel Embiid, potentially in one of the last years of his prime. Paul George and Tyrese Maxey, and now Cooper Flag too? That would be, we just spent the first 5 to 10 minutes of the show with the San Antonio Spurs. The possibilities of running Victor Wembanyama and Cooper Flag out there for the next decade minimum together Or you can take Cooper Flag. Do you place a call to the Milwaukee Bucks and say, would Cooper Flag, is that a way for you to reload and restart your franchise without having to rebuild? Here's Cooper Flag. Here's Devin Vassell and some salary cap filler. Give us Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now we have De'Aaron Fox, Giannis, and Victor Wembanyama. That's automatically a top team in the Western Conference. Even who cares who's surrounding those three? And then there's Nico Harrison, who's sitting, I imagine him right now, sitting in the darkness like Emperor Palpatine, just rocking in this back and forth with the hoodie over his head. Like, yes, good, good, good. The plan, execute order 66. And then if he pulls off Cooper Flag out of this, and the Dallas Mavericks fans get a reprieve, it's not Luka Doncic. They had that emotional attachment, but those are three teams that could potentially, three out of the four who could get, Cooper Flag's going to be going to a standout wow situation of intrigue. Wow. And then there's the Charlotte Hornets with with all due respect, would be the most disappointing result. Even though if the Charlotte Hornets do get this pick, do get number one in Cooper Flag, you have to think that they're going to have the makings of the next Oklahoma City several years down the road with the LaMelo Balls, the Brandon Millers, the Mark Williamses. They do have some young talent there that requires some time. I didn't mean to be disrespectful with that, but those other three teams are like, wee Cooper Flag, Cooper Flag, Cooper Flag. Wow. So what are we rooting for, chat? Chat looks like it wants Spurs. But the biggest disappointments here, the Utah Jazz falling to 5th, the Wizards to 6th, the 76ers keep their pick. Sacramento does not. Sacramento, by making and winning those games at the end of the regular season, just lost their pick in this super stacked draft. Oh my God, the Kings. How do you do this to your fan base? They're just dog paddling in mediocrity. There's no worse place to be than 9th place. 9th place with losing in a first round as your ceiling. We're still in commercial here, by the way, and I promise when we come back, you're going to get the big reveal of the top 4, and I will verbalize it so that if the graphics come on the screen a little bit late, but everyone calm down. All right, I'm talking to myself here. What do you guys want? We want Spurs. We want Spurs. The chat wants Spurs. Wembanyama and Cooper Flag is going to get 35 nationally televised games next year. Minimum. They'll be getting the Lakers Steph Curry treatment. What else? I mean, the 76ers are, after the season of disappointment, every single one of those fans is going to be back. They're going to feel like this is the culmination of the process. This is Joel Embiid's last stand. Tyrese Maxey and Paul George, we'd let him get his knee right over the summer. We didn't have to play any postseason basketball so that we could get Cooper Flag and actually go for it with a legitimate chance. There's so many possibilities here. And then the Mavericks fans, are they going to return to the arena if they get the number one pick? Oh my God, there's so much to think about. And while the Hornets is the most boring, you still could have LaMelo Ball and Cooper Flag, which would just be a Gen Z All-Star team. This would be Gen Z All-Star team. I don't even have a dog in this fight, and I'm nervous. And they're showing David Stern right now, teasing us that this would make the hype going into this one would make David Stern proud. How did the Spurs get another pick? Well, you can thank the Atlanta Hawks for that one. Okay, you guys can just say rigged all you want in the chat, but you're going to have to provide some evidence. Otherwise, just saying rigged is going to not land after enough times used. Okay, we are back from commercial, people. They're building up the hype. They're showing the table of the 76ers front office and executives. Oh, but they're building the suspense. Everyone's smiling. Everyone's nervous. This is a big deal. Once again, the Hornets, the 76ers, the Spurs, and the Mavericks are about to round out the top 4. You do not want to see your team's envelope, as always, in the draft lottery. You do not want to see them, with the exception of the Sacramento Kings. You want to see that at some point, because if you saw the Hawks, that means you lose it. All right, people. Here we go. I promise I won't troll either. I promise I won't troll. I was really tempted to lie to you guys and who it's not. Here we go. With the 4th pick, it's the Charlotte Hornets. It's the Charlotte Hornets. Oh my God. It's the Charlotte Hornets. That means the 76ers, the Spurs, and the Mavericks are about to get Cooper Flag. The 76ers are the third pick. The Spurs and the Mavericks are about to get Cooper Flag. Are you kidding me? The San Antonio Spurs are number 2. The Dallas Mavericks have gotten Cooper Flag. They've gotten the number 1 overall pick. And now we have to start having the questions. How did Dallas give her? Oh my God. The Nico Harrison, you dog. You dog. You dog. No way. How did losing all of those games, going to the play-in tournament, they get Anthony Davis. Now you're telling me if you knew you were going to get Cooper Flag, would you trade Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis and Cooper Flag? That changes things, doesn't it? The lowest odds to win the NBA lottery since the lottery began in 1985. The Orlando Magic 1.52% in 1993. The Cavs 1.7% in 2014. I believe that was Kyrie. The Chicago Bulls 2008 with Derrick Rose 1.7%. The Dallas Mavericks this year 2025 1.8%. The fourth lowest lottery odds of all time to get the number one pick. Oh my God. Now, what does Nico do with Cooper Flag? Is he the one making the call to Milwaukee? Is he making a call to Milwaukee? We know that he wants to assemble a team of vets. Is he about to call for Giannis? Are we about to see an Anthony Davis and Giannis team? No, that can't be the case. They have a front line of Derek Lively II, Daniel Gafford, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, if they get him back, and now Cooper Flag. Oh man, he would fit so perfect along. And it's two Duke guys too. There's no way. There's no way. You got Kyrie and Cooper. Duke connection there. That's insane. How did Dallas do this? I see all the rigged comments in the chat. How did that just happen? Dallas, the fourth lowest draft lottery odds. Okay, here's the projected starters without Cooper Flag. And that's if Kyrie Irving comes back, because remember the options and he needs to be retained. Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, Anthony Davis. Okay, PJ Washington, you're headed to the bench, sir. Oh my God. Cooper Flag, Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis, and Derek Lively II. Oh, by the way, like the Philadelphia 76ers are about to get Ron Harper Jr. There's your Ace Baileys. The Spurs are picking second. Those are no slouches either. They got to be pretty dang pleased with where they ended up. Of course, Cooper Flag is the big prize, but here's Philly, by the way. Now you can add, let's just say, Ron Harper Jr. to this. Ace Bailey, whoever I don't know who they're going to be targeting, but Jared McCain should probably be on this list if we're going small ball. Put Paul George pushing out Yabusele. So you'll have McCain, you'll have whoever that. Wow, dude, Nico Harrison just executed Order 66. How did he pull that off? How did he get reward? How did the basketball gods reward him? Reward them for that after all the fallout from that Luka trade. All of a sudden, you now get Cooper Flag to replace Luka Doncic with. Will that be a seamless transition? Will they embrace and adopt him the same way? Luka, or are they still going to be pissed at Nico? Can you hold on? Are there any Mavericks fans in the chat? Can you guys still be pissed at the franchise with Cooper Flag out there? Now you're the ones who look silly, bro. You got Cooper Flag. Let it go. Let Luka go. He moved on. Now you guys have a legitimate championship team. Wow. A. Ramirez in the chat says L for small team markets. Yeah. No, first of all, San Antonio aren't they the second smallest? Only New Orleans is smaller. Wow. Winners, losers. Who got robbed? How about who got wobbed? Do we need to do that really quickly? I think that's a proper way to do winners and losers. All right. So the obvious winners here. Yeah, let's do the winners first. The biggest winner is the Dallas Mavericks. Not even close. Dallas will put them on the list. Dallas Mavericks, number one. Next biggest winner is going to be Philadelphia 76ers. They not only keep their pick, which was only top 6 protected, but their justification for punting the end of the season, missing the playoffs, tanking, whatever you want to call it, it's rewarded by retaining the pick and it being top 3. They're going to get a dynamite player. They're going to get Jared McCain back. They're going to get all their guys back who have 5 months off this offseason. This will be as optimal. This will be as optimal of a starting five that they could possibly put together with the original intention of assembling this team with older guys or Joel Embiid, all those miles on the odometer. Yeah, the Portland Trailblazers falling all the way to 11. Ugh, I feel for you. I mean, they did get to keep their pick, which was obviously protected. We'll get to the biggest losers here in a second, but I'd say my next winners is probably number 3, honestly, is the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks, because they now have they were able, despite that trade with the San Antonio Spurs, they essentially swapped the 13th and the 14th pick because of these 2 trades. So they lose their pick unprotected to San Antonio. The Hawks, their pick doesn't end up in the top 4. So it's the worst possible pick in the lottery. And then because Sacramento didn't move into the top 4, the Atlanta Hawks get to get their pick because it was the 1 through 12 protections. Okay. Other winners here. Let's see. I'm looking at the screen right now. I don't think there's any more obvious. Those are my 3. Honestly, those are my 3 winners. And you know what? Put the Spurs up there. The Spurs. The Spurs got not only the 4th, they have 2 lottery picks. They have the 14th pick and the 2nd pick. And while it's not going to be Cooper Flagg, that they're assembling they're adding another star or another young star, prospective young star to this roster with the 2nd pick. I assume that's going to be the Ron Harpers or some of these guys who have been highly touted to the roster that they already have. And maybe they can still have that Giannis Antetokounmpo phone call if they so choose. They still have Victor Wembanyama. They still have De'Aaron Fox. They still have all those franchise cornerstone pieces. Take Keldon Johnson, package him with a Devin Vassell. Take your 2nd overall pick, send that all to Milwaukee and say, hey, if you do have ambition to rebuild, but technically just reload, restart. No, that's not an appropriate term. You'll hit the ground running with our package. And then you get Damian Lillard back after his Achilles injury and go from there. That package is still very viable. So yeah, the San Antonio Spurs are back in play. And what's the very worst that happens? They just run it out. They just play it out with all the young guys that they have, and they continue to develop the same way that Oklahoma City did. Yeah, they're still on that same plan. They can parallel Oklahoma City because they have an MVP level candidate in Victor Wembanyama, because you need that the way that Shea does. That's why the Rockets parallel has always been a struggle for me. Can Jalen Green step up and be that good offensively that he's a MVP potential candidate at some point? You know, the Rockets need offense while still being on that same type of plan. But with the Spurs, you got the Steph Castles, the Wembys. Yeah, I'm cool with that. So they are still afforded the luxury. I'm just thinking out loud here. They're afforded the luxury of optionality moving forward. Okay, what about losers? Who got whopped? Let's put losers on the screen here, because I think that's a little bit more obvious. Who got whopped? All right, the Utah Jazz have to be number 1. Have to be. They just tanked an entire season and fell to the absolute worst position possible. That was a failure. That was a failure of a season, and it was rewarded with the 5th overall pick. The basketball gods have spoken against tanking. If you violate the I would say code of conduct, player participation policy, and you get slapped with a fine in the way that they did, the basketball gods, the lottery gods, have spoken. We will not reward that, and you will be dropped all the way to number 5. More losers. Number 2, Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings just got eliminated during the play-in tournament as they were assembling this win-now team. They had to trade De'Aaron. Okay, this whole season was loser for Sacramento. First, they fire Mike Brown practically on the tarmac between practice and getting on the plane to an away game. Then De'Aaron Fox, that doesn't quench his lust for whatever his true intentions were, and he still wants out anyway. He ends up getting traded to the San Antonio Spurs, and you somehow trade De'Aaron Fox without getting Devin Vassell or Steph Castle. You bring in Zach LaVine and you assemble the same Chicago Bulls team that sputtered out of the play-in tournament for so many years. And guess what happened? You sputtered out of the play-in tournament without even making the postseason. And because you strove for success and you tried to win games, you finished one game worse than the Chicago Bulls for the 12th worst record in the NBA, which means you fell 13th. And because your pick was only top 12 protected, you had to leap your way up. You needed help to retain your pick, and you failed. You could have had a 12th, you could have had a 12th or 11th pick pretty easily. But you went for it. You went for the playoffs. You wanted to shoot that beam into the sky, and you failed. Sorry. Other losers here. Okay, so Washington, obviously. Washington falls from the second worst record. They were 18-64, one game behind the Jazz. They fall all the way down to number 6. So the Jazz, obviously number 1, but the Wizards went from getting one of those top guys down to number 6. Woof. And I got to add the Charlotte Hornets here as well, because there's probably a letdown when you see your logos up on the board as the potential to get the number 1 overall pick. You finished 4th. You guys had the 3rd worst record, so you technically fell. The Hornets somehow fell. They got the number 4 overall pick, and that ended up worse than where they finished in the season standings with the NBA. They had the 3rd worst record at 19-63. So they went from being the next Oklahoma City with LaMelo Ball and Cooper Flagg and assembling all of this talent. They're really going to need to find the right piece to complement their roster, because Cooper Flagg was really the only guarantee, but we'll see where it goes from there. Any other losers on the screen that stand out to you guys? Okay, someone said OKC are losers. I don't agree, because what we didn't address here was, since Miami made the playoffs and they had the worst record, of anyone that made the playoffs, Oklahoma City is now going to get the first pick after the lottery at number 15. So Oklahoma City could have gotten that Philly pick if they did drop. So if we still have room, okay, put OKC. I don't want to put OKC. They're not losers, though. There's no way. It's just, I would say that was more unfortunate. Is that fair? The Pelicans, probably, yeah. You know what? Pelicans are more appropriate. Put the Pelicans on the screen. Pelicans finished with the 4th worst record. They had the most amount of man hours lost, second only to the Brooklyn Nets this year due to injury, and they are rewarded with a pick that is 7 slots worse than their season record in the inverse standings. The New Orleans Pelicans go from 4th all the way down to 7th. The Chicago Bulls. How appropriate is it that the Chicago Bulls had the 12th worst record, and they got exactly the 12th pick? Like, this is the most appropriate for a team that is perpetually in what feels like 12th place in the NBA. I'm sorry if I'm laughing at you, Bulls fans, but it's just always this mediocrity with you guys that you're drowning in. It's got to be so frustrating if you weren't alive in the 90s to enjoy the success of the dual three-peats and Michael Jordan. All you have seen is Derrick Rose, his potential, and it never becoming reality due to injury and just trade misery. I mean, just draft and standings misery, doggy paddling, and mediocrity. All right, just to recap here. The losers, the Jazz, obviously. The Jazz, because they had the worst record, and they finished in the worst position possible in the lottery. The Sacramento Kings, who lose their lottery pick because they won those games at the end of the season, made the play-in tournament. God, they didn't even need to win those games. They could have lost and lost and lost. They had that 10 seed locked up. Phoenix was never, ever passing them. They could have just lost and lost, gotten the 10 seed, played that game on the road, and retained their pick somehow, some way. Possibly, it would have been a lot better chance than what they had tonight. The Washington Wizards, who go from 2nd all the way down to 7th. The Charlotte Hornets are kind of just hovering around the same spot as always, needing, like, they got Brandon Miller, who's a fine player, but they missed out on Victor Wembanyama. And now they missed out on Cooper Flagg. They'll get a fine player, but it's always that one step below the big prize. And of course, the New Orleans Pelicans, who just bad luck here, going from fourth to seventh. And the winners, if you want to put those back on the screen for me really quickly, the Dallas Mavericks, obviously, they are going to have Cooper Flag on their team after that season of misery. And losing Luca for Anthony Davis, who gets banged up, losing Kyrie Irving, the disappointment, the fans rioting in the streets, and now they get to just replace that with one of the best prospects of our generation. Must be nice. Got to create your own luck sometimes. And Nico Harrison's master plan, if this doesn't work out, we'll just go get the number one pick with our 1.8% odds. 1.8%, the fourth longest in NBA history to actually get the number one overall pick. And they were rewarded with a franchise changing superstar who they can now potentially pair with Kyrie Irving. Crazy. Philadelphia 76ers are on this list as well because they retain their pick. They not only finish in the top six where the protection's laid, but they move all the way up to third with that already stacked roster. The Atlanta Hawks are my winners as well because they actually did get a pick despite trading theirs away unprotected, which went to the worst spot possible, the San Antonio Spurs. They ended up getting the 14th pick out of that. The Hawks don't have the FOMO of our pick getting a top four or the number one overall, and we get to take Sacramento Kings. Must be nice. And then there is the Spurs now, who are going to have the second overall pick, as well as number 14. They will have two of the top 14 picks to pair alongside that incredibly young roster. And they will go from there. I mean, incredibly young, but also incredible potential as well. That was a lot. I didn't anticipate that being so intense. Last year was not even close to having that type of hype. But the impact of seeing Cooper Flag on one of these three franchises, you knew that it was just going to change the landscape of the NBA moving forward. And it's most certainly will. Things are much different down there in Dallas. Instantly, just like that. There's never a dull moment in the NBA. This is the most WWE result. I think that was possible. So yeah, go ahead. Just type rigged into the chat. You guys know you want to do it anyway. But we do have some basketball to go watch. It's always weird transitioning from draft lottery and being all hyped up to now we have to go to war for this in Madison Square Garden between the Celtics and the Knicks. But the entertainment here never stops, and that broadcast is about to begin. So with that said, I appreciate all of you that were with me at the beginning of the stream, dealt with the technical issues. Glad we got those figured out. I'm Rob Perez, Worldwide Wob. You have been watching Bleacher Report's coverage of the 2025 Draft Lottery, and I will see you guys for NBA Daily tomorrow at 6 Eastern. Adios.